Greetings, my knights, I, Cerberus, here, and today we are back with some more Choice of the Pirate, Chapter 6, Any Port in the Storm. Last time we got to set up all our stuff. My name is Zachariah Zoru. My moniker is Zoru the Honorable. My flagship is the Sea Queen. My flag is a Zorua's head with a wand on one side and a sword on the other. And my signature clothing is a black suit with red embellishments and a fancy red hat. It's amazing. But anyway, we're getting started here today with some Chapter 6, Any Port in a Storm. I think I said that already. Doesn't matter though. The adventure with the ghost ship has taken the Sea Queen out of commission for a few weeks. Maybe a month, at worst 2. She's up in dry dock as the shipwrights try to figure out just what that pitch-like ammunition did to her hull. While your crew seems glad of the leave, you can feel yourself getting restless. You've considered going out on one of your other ships instead of waiting. But your fleet captains are an independent bunch. They're continuing to target the marks you've requested, and they're bringing in their share of the booty, so you don't want to discourage them from their duties. The last thing you want is your fleet's crew to be unhappy enough with you to mutiny and lose you the extra cash flow. Given your itch to accomplish something while you're landlocked, how are you spending your time? I'm spending most of it with Tinema. I'm spending most of it with Caesar. I'm studying at La Biblioteca de Alejandro, or I'm making business negotiations at the bazaar. I'm watching the shipwrights work on the Sea Queen, or I'm seeking out Evan Lark. I don't even remember who that is. Oh, that's right. I remember now. He is the guy who I saved from the galley of that ship with the girl that was disguised. You know, what is he? He's the guy who handles the financial affairs for the guy in the pirate haven. I don't remember what it's called. It's been like 2 weeks since I played. Shut up. I'm spending most of it with Tenema. Just out of curiosity, I want to see how many ships I have in my fleet. 2. I have my flagship and one other ship, the merchant ship. Okay, why? Oh, to practice my cambiar, to strengthen our friendship, to ask her opinion on politics, or to begin a romance. Ooh. I already know her opinion on politics. She doesn't like the crown. Ooh. I'm interested in the romance option. You settle in over drinks at La Casa de Invierno, the tienda de cafe you've been frequenting while the Sea Queen is being repaired. As soon as your drinks arrive, Tenema takes the floor. As she begins to discuss her concerns, you're relieved to hear that all of them are nitpicks or troubles among your crew that you hadn't yet recognized. She's got a good eye for how people interact, a skill you never realized you could enlist to help keep your crew content. You almost want to take notes, but you can always ask Tenema for reminders once you're back on the ship. Eventually, Tinema brings the conversation around to the gossip about the Pirate King, the lack of confidence the pirates of San Alfonso are showing in his mostly absent leadership, and Anne Reed's attempt to further undermine his authority. It wouldn't surprise me if the Pirate King is keeping to himself even more these days than usual because he's seeking out new talent, she says. I don't believe the stories that say the Pirate King has been the same man for centuries, and his fleet is certainly active enough. Even though they let us handle the ghost ship, you point out, Tinema nods. Even then, I think his ships are more concerned with keeping the crown out of San Alfonso. No one wants crown tyranny here. So you support the Pirate King. Do you think someone else should become the Pirate King? Don't you wonder about the Pirate King's anonymity? Or politics is well and good, but what about us? Or that's enough politics. Do you think someone else should become the Pirate King? So let's do so you support the Pirate King. She shrugs. I just suspect he has something more planned than the local gossips expect. I certainly wouldn't count him out. Do you think someone else should become the Pirate King? Don't you wonder about the Pirate... Yeah, I already read all these. Pirate King. She answers with something between a laugh and a derisive snort. Not Anne Reed, if that's what you mean. She's a fine enough captain and a decent pirate, but responsibility and commitment, I don't see those things being her forte. And I think both are necessary for the man or woman charged with keeping the crown from interfering with our trade. Don't you wonder about the Pirate King's anonymity? I try not to, she says, then grins at you. That's for you captains to wonder about, and us cambions to leave in your hands. Politics is well and good, but what about us? Tinema meets your eyes boldly, reminding you of how much she's changed since she joined your crew. Gone is the timid young woman sure only of her ability with cambiar, and in her place is an experienced pirate who can hold her own on deck and in matters of the heart. She looks surprised, but not uninterested. What about us? She repeats. I think your quarters in the ship are too small, you say with a grin, and they're not private enough for my liking. And where do you think I ought to bunk? She asks, matching your flirtatious tone. Oh, I have a few ideas, if you're interested. You spend the rest of the day together, avoiding talk of politics and work, wandering the bazaar and the university, stealing moments of privacy in the middle of crowds and making a game of your courtship. As night falls, she leads you back to her cottage, still well kept despite all your time at sea. She guides you into her bed for a night spare on sleep, but full of pleasure. Oh my god, that was easier than I thought. Oh boy! Oh, is it hot in here? Is it just me? Next, during your third week stuck in San Alfonso with your during your third week stuck in San Alfonso with no end to your land-bound exile from the sea in sight, you're about ready to hire yourself out, and not only from boredom. You're not making any money in port, and the less you have to dip into your savings, the better. So when you see Anne Reed holding court at the Lobo Negro and she beckons you over, you don't think twice about joining the throng. Given your current debt to Reed, it's not as if you have much choice. Of course, she takes her own sweet time addressing you after you've joined her. There are ribald jokes, daring stories, and plenty of toasts to her future success as the would-be pirate king. Eventually, she dismisses her cronies and beckons for you to follow her. I treat her as a leader, with respect. I fall into step with her as an equal. I give her a worshipful glance, hoping to stand out among her admirers. No, not the third one. I feel... I don't know if I should treat her as a leader with respect or fall into step with her as an equal. I think I should treat her as a leader because she is my fleet captain currently. And so, whether I am going to stay loyal or betray her, it's best to have her on my good side. She nods at you in acknowledgement. I've got a job for you. I think it's something you can handle. And into the boredom of port, potential payment. I can handle whatever it is, you say, and she gives you a wry grin. Anne cracks her knuckles absent-mindedly as you walk in the dark warmth of a San Alfonso night. You know, everyone knows I'm after becoming Pirate King, she says, but you can't challenge a ghost or a legend. Have you tried? She snorts. If I could just declare myself Pirate King and have people follow me, don't you think I've already have done it? No pirates want proof. The Pirate King's fleet is still out there, even if it hasn't been active near San Alfonso lately. The Crown wants him badly enough, he must be causing them trouble, whether we hear about it or not. You hear talk of him in Puerto Balena. You'd swear he's a demon out to sink every ship in the Crown Navy. Frankly, I think he's a talk of ghosts and spirits is all wind up the sail. He's no more mortal than you or I, but who is he? No one really knows. I don't believe the tales at all. He's definitely a human. No one really knows. There are some contenders. It must be El Sabio, isn't it obvious? No, I don't think it's El Sabio. I mean, he's landlocked. He can't be the Pirate King, right? Who knows? No one really knows. Exactly, she says, but I intend to change that. She stretches her arms in front of her, fingers interlaced. Her knuckles make a rippling series of pops. I'd like to offer you a job. I want to know who the Pirate King truly is, and I've heard rumors of an inlet down the coast from here, where the Pirate King harbors his ships outside of the scrutiny of San Alfonso. The trouble is, no one has been able to actually locate the inlet and return alive. What's in it for me? Sounds awfully risky. You're the captain. Sounds awfully risky. She shrugs. Either the risk is worth it or it's not. My money's good. Uncovering the true identity of the Pirate King would be its own reward, and when I take his place, I'll remember the people who have put me there. I'll take the job. I need something to do. I'll take the job, but we'll decide what to report after I've investigated. I want the job, but I'm more interested in a favor from Anne as payment. I'll take the job. I need something to do. Anne moves slightly away from you, digging through her satchel for a map and a small leather-bound book. This is the research I've put together for the job, she says. The map is rough, but it's based on the sailing I've done trying to locate the inlet. Should put you in the right direction. Wherever the entry is, there's an illusion covering it from the sea, so you'll have to go on land. In the book, you say? Notes. Possible candidates for the identity of the Pirate King. Rumors. She enters the map and the book, then takes out her pipe from her satchel and lights it. Mostly bilgewater. There might be a bit of truth in the most ridiculous thing. The book feels warm between your hands, and the job feels full of potential. I'll see what I can find out. Anne, smelling of tobacco and salt, puts her hands on your shoulder. I knew I could count on you. She's a little weird. Weird as in, I don't like her that much. She seems very full of herself. The morning dawns with the smell of salt and potential. It's too early to gather gossip at the Lobo Negro, but you've got a map and notes and your own intuition. How do you start your quest? I read Anne's note, I scour the map. I go visit Evan Locke and see what I can find out. I head out into the jungle to look for the secret inlet. I doubt I should talk to Evan Lark, because it's obvious El Sabio is connected to the Pirate King, and I doubt he'd want me snooping around. So, either read Anne's notes or scour the map. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. My mommy told me pick the very best one, and this one is going to be it. Okay, read Anne's notes. There's little in the book that you haven't heard before. Rumor, conjecture, gossip, and superstition. If the Pirate King is a spirit or an immortal, or a man who sold his soul to gain immortality, then the odds of your successfully uncovering his or her identity is slim anyway. You decide to proceed as though the Pirate King is immortal, as long as you're working on this quest. Anne has helpfully listed some of the most likely pirates. It has to be someone powerful, who is no longer working under their own name. Gabriella the Black disappeared from public life several years back, though she's been seen in port from time to time. A decade ago, she was hailed as the Crown's worst enemy, and since the Crown has never gloried in her capture, it's safe to assume she hasn't been caught. Flash Jericho, known for wearing an eyesore bright yellow coat and hat, was reportedly hanged 15 years ago, but 2 years later, a man wearing a royal blue with yellow trim got drunk in a tavern in Puerto Balena and admitted that he was Flash Jericho and hadn't been killed at all. Ooh, it's suspicious. Cuamo Suerte, the son of Cacique, one of the traditional leaders of the islanders, who led a rebellion against the Crown before taking up a life aboard ship, probably retired to live with his family outside of the Crown's reach in the islands. He'd be in his 60s now if he were still operating under the guise of the Pirate King. Inez of the Coast pled her belly to escaping hanging 20 years back. As a young and already notorious pirate, it wouldn't surprise anyone to find out she'd returned to the sea under a different name after having her child. And then there's El Sabio, the man who, even in San Alfonso, hides his name. He spends enough time on his plantation that he could be covering up his activities at sea, and he's certainly wealthy. Everyone knows he was a successful pirate in his youth. Retiring to govern San Alfonso could be a ruse to cover his continued work as the Pirate King. But no matter who it is, you won't find out by sitting and going over notes. What do you do next? Scour the map! You study the coast, trying to gauge the most likely place for an inlet to exist. Given your study of charts and your knowledge of geography, you think you can estimate the likely spot. There's some rocky coastline to the north, and waters off the island are riddled with hidden hazards. Most of the pirates you know avoid that bit of sea. The winds are never as fresh there, and it's more efficient to sail out of port a different way. But you like the challenge of navigating hazardous terrain, so you've sailed it a few times. The island rises near into a cliff face, with crags and rocky outcroppings and hints of caves. Just the kind of place that the romances always describe as where pirates hide their treasure. You've never seen an inlet there, but it's a likelier area than any other part of the island. And your careful study of the map gives you an idea of the easiest way to cross the jungle to get there. But you've spent enough time preparing. Time to head out. Armed with a solid plan for making the best path towards the inlet's most likely location, you set off, taking a shortcut through the jungle to reach a place on the coast just before it starts to climb into the cliffs. You'll likely make better time this way, not having to navigate sections of beach and shore that are cut off by mangrove forests. By the time you emerge back onto the coast, you're in a cheerful disposition. It's been a pleasant hike, but nothing more troubling than that. You'll be fresh enough for combat, should you meet any of the Pirate King's supposed forces. It's in this frame of mind that you first spot what looks like a creature in distress. At this distance, you think it might be a beached manatee, though it's slimmer. You squint, wondering if it's just a monk seal sunning itself, but that doesn't seem quite right. If it's an injured animal, it could be dangerous to approach, but if you continue hiking along the rocks, it's directly in your path. I don't need the extra hassle, I'll go the long way around. If it's injured or beached, I'd like to help it if I can. I'm not diverting from my route, danger or not. If it is injured or beached, I'd like to help it if I can. Let's do it! You make your way up the coast, approaching where you think you saw the wild animal. After a little while, you lose sight of it, and you think perhaps, based on how the rock formations complicate your route, you won't cross its path after all. But from where you saw it, you can hear the sounds of guttural moaning, and you realize it sounds an awful lot like a person trying to say the word help. As you walk, you hear the sounds for help in some of the other languages spoken in Lucayan. Oh boy, it's not fun. God dang it, Mom is texting me. Poor shipwrecked sot, they're no problem of mine. Maybe it's someone who discovered the inlet. If someone's in trouble, I'd better help. This one. I'm honorable, dude. I'm so the honorable. You try to find a safe way to get down into the rocks where the person is stranded. The cries for help become clearer and more desperate as you approach. And you get the sense that whoever is down there is at the end of the line. If they don't get help soon, they'll fall into the waters below. You hurry, but not so much that you'll meet the same fate. Almost threw up. Hang on. And my drink is finished. I'm ready to continue my journey as a pirate. And we are going to continue it very well. I'm wearing earbuds, but there's no audio, so I don't know why I'm doing it. But we're going to continue right now. You find reasonable footing and are finally able to put eyes on the person in need of help. That's when you discover that it isn't a person per se, though it's no manatee or monk seal either. There are legends all over the world, spoken by sailors from every land about people who live under the waters. Mermaids! There's a legend told by the islanders here of a beautiful young woman named Aikaya. Whoa. That's weird. Who, in punishment for hypnotizing men with her beauty, was exiled from land and eventually turned into a mermaid. If the point of her punishment was to rob her of her beauty through the transformation, then the creature before you is the result. The curse certainly succeeded. Is she ugly? Ugh. The creature on the rocks, tangled so tightly in fishing nets that she can hardly move, has some similarities to the tails of mermaids. Her lower half resembles a dolphin's tail, and her upper half is thin, with two human-like arms and a round head ringed with seaweed-like hair. Though she has breasts, there would be no mistaking her for a human woman. Her face is entirely alien, gray-skinned with eyes where a human's temples would be. No nose, and what looks like a blowhole on the back of her skull. The most human part of her is her mouth, and as one of her eyes catches sight of you, her cries become more frantic. Beautiful or not, mermaids are known for tricking and drowning humans. Yes, they trap. She's no human, but she needs help. I free her from the net. I'll free her, but I want something in return. Put her out of her misery. I wish I could ask Granny O'Malley for advice. She's no human. She needs help, and I free her from the net. There's no point in saying I wish I could ask Granny O'Malley. No point at all. She's not here. Okay. Ooh, I got an achievement. Rescue of mermaids. I don't know what that means. Okay. You make your way through the rocky outcropping to where she's lodged, taking care to steer clear of where her tail could thrash you off balance. I'm gonna cut you free, you say, making sure one of her eyes can see you. You draw your cutlass slowly. She blinks, and her body goes very still. The netting is tight to her skin, so you cut carefully, snapping one section after another, giving her more room to breathe. Her tense stillness gives way to relaxation as you work. This is gonna take a while. So, swim around here often? She makes a whistling sound from her blowhole that might be a laugh. I may avoid it in the future, she says slowly. Usually no fishermen here. Safe for fish, good hunting for my people. Tell me about your people, you say. She seems to relax more, making the net around her looser while she's talking. She knows it too. She begins to describe a people so foreign that language fails, and she shifts into the squeaks and whistles you mistook for an animal's. What you're able to gather is that there are many of them, and that they migrate to colder waters during the hottest months of the year. They haven't been back in the Lucayan all that long. They usually return after hurricane season has passed. These waters are traditionally safe for them, though she makes it clear on no uncertain terms that her people do not fear danger, and that they have many warriors. Whether that's truth or a lie to protect her people's safety, you're not sure. What about the people who use the Inlet, you ask casually. She thinks that she might be puzzled, but her face is impossible to read. A clear eyelid blinks down over her eye. Creepy, but I'll continue. El Rey del Mar, she finally says. He's no danger to our people. That does not precisely answer your question. Who is he? Where's the Inlet from here? What does he look like? We call him the Pirate King. Not gonna say that. Who is he? My people say he made a bargain with the deep and traded his fins for legs, she answers, then makes a shallow shrug-like gesture. I'm not sure if I believe this. He acts too much like a legged thing to have once had fins. You cut another section of net, thinking. I can show you where he docks, she says into the silence. There are no ships there now, but I can show you. No, I don't trust her not to drown me. I'd rather go on land. Great, that'll save me some time. I don't know if I trust her. I mean, she's been kind so far, so maybe I should. I don't know. I'd rather go on land. No, I'll trust her. That'll save me some time. That would be much appreciated, you say. I'll do my best to keep up. She gestures to the net still around her tail. I will not be at my fastest today, she says, and you think it's meant to be a comfort. Once you finish cutting her free, she turns and pushes off the outcropping where she was stuck, diving from the cliffs into the sea. A moment later, she surfaces and waits for you to find your way down. It's treacherous terrain, but easy enough for someone who's used to climbing and rigging and fighting on a moving deck. You make it to the waterline with no trouble at all. Not climbing and rigging, it's just climbing and rigging, whatever. The swim is challenging. You manage to secure your boots, jacket, and weapons onto something like a sling, but it's awkward and hampers your swimming. Despite her injuries, the mermaid is far faster than you are, even if you are unburdened. She circles back several times to make sure you're keeping up. Eventually, she has you grab around her neck, and you're propelled through the water by the up and down movements of her powerful tail. Nice, dude! I was right to trust her. You can easily see how a sailor who annoyed a mermaid would be unable to swim back to the surface if she got into her mind to take him below. She does take you underwater several times, but never for so long that you're worried you'll run out of air. Nice! It's after one of the longest of these stretches that she surfaces in a rocky cove that shows signs of ships having been there. You see a dock, a crib for ship repairs, and several moorings along the shore. The jungle around it is dense, but there are a few shacks nestled among the trees, and you imagine someone could hide here quite comfortably for some time. Where shall I leave you? She asks. The dock, the shore near one of the shacks, the jungle, a little way distant from the buildings. Let's do the dock. The mermaid swims you over into the shadow of the dock, waiting until you grabbed onto the piling before she ducks under the surface again. A moment later, you see her off toward the inlet entrance, waving farewell before she vanishes beneath the water once more. Nice! You're my friend, girl, mermaid. Hope I see you again. The dock is well built and in better care than the general docks of San Alfonso, which you suspect is because it gets less use. It looks to have been recently scrubbed as well. There are a few barnacles growing on the pilings, which means that someone tended the wood and pulled them off in the last few weeks. The line doesn't have that creaky feeling it gets after being left to the weather for a long period. If you had to guess, you'd say that a ship was here in the last 2 weeks. From here, it looks as though there are 8 moorings, some at a close enough length to the shore that you think they'd be good only for the shallower draft of a smaller ship. A cutter rather than a galleon, for example. That's not a huge fleet, but you suspect they're not here all at once. And as long as no one knew the ships here were in the employ of the Pirate King, they could do their business at San Alfonso like everyone else. Nice, actually, that makes sense. It makes you wonder if the Pirate King's reach is smaller than everyone says, if he really has such a small fleet, or if more people know the true identity of the Pirate King than they're letting on. Or if the Pirate King hires out ships without letting them know their true employer. That creates more questions than it answers. Where do you investigate? The shacks, not the jungle yet. If there is any documentation, it's sure to be inside a building rather than on the open water, or wedged into the dock. You hike out of the jungle into the shore, headed for the shack closest to the water. The 4 buildings are located near the dock, and there's very little to them. You enter the closest one, which looks like a full kitchen and dining area, meant, you suppose, to give docked sailors a relief from the galley. There are a few food supplies within, though there is plenty of storage room. Considering the lack of evidence of mice or other pests in what little food remains, you would guess the supplies were removed within the last 2 weeks, possibly taken aboard ship or used by docked sailors. 2 of the other shacks have cots. Their interior is a good bit larger than a berth aboard ship, though not so large as the rooms of the Lobo Negro. Like the kitchen, they appear to have been recently cleaned out. In one, there's a sea chest at the end of one cot, but it's empty and has a broken hinge. You check for secret pockets with hidden notes, but decide that it really is just a broken chest, probably replaced by the sailor it belonged to and not yet disposed of. The last shack is an office, and though there's no wealth of paperwork, there is a sea chest, a desk, and a few documents left out under a paperweight. The top note is a letter. It reads, Evan. Evan Lark! Below are the latest ledgers for our activities. I hope you will find everything in order. Our numbers are not as good as I would like, but I am always glad to pay my portion to San Alfonso's coffers. Let me know if what I've left is insufficient. It is unsurprisingly unsigned. The numbers on the papers below are impressive, though not as large as you might have guessed. The crew numbers are rather low, but there are only a few captains listed. Jericho, Coast, Suerte. Is one of them the Pirate King, or are they employees? One of the ships, Hacienda, took considerable damage in a battle near the Somers Islands a few weeks before you faced the ghost ship, and the repair costs cut into the profits. The last date given is 2 weeks ago. You look around for the payment mentioned in the letter and see a chest bearing the crest of the crown. Despite the inlet security measures and the unknown nature of the encampment, the chest is locked. Pick the lock, bash it open. I don't care what's in it, I'm taking the whole thing. I'm not here for a chest. I should probably find out what is in it. Even if it's not treasure, it could be paperwork that gives the identity. So I'll pick the lock. Yeah, because I'll pick the lock because my skullduggery is pretty good. It's not the best it could be, but it's not bad. It's not a complicated lock, and you've done this sort of thing before. A few twists and pop! The latch releases. That was a bad snap. There. I proved it. I can snap, right? I'm not just a little guy who goes... I can go... Loud pops! Loud! 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 Inside is a glittering stack of gold bars worth hundreds of doubloons. No wonder San Alfonso is so prosperous, and why the crown would very much like to collect taxes on the money that passes through the port. I leave the gold, take the top layer of gold, or take the whole chest. It's not smart to steal from the Pirate King. He's gonna find out it's me, and I'm gonna die. Leave it! You came for information, not to steal from the Pirate King, and you've gotten that. Time to continue your investigation elsewhere. Where do you investigate? The jungle? I've seen the jungle. I need to explore everywhere. There's plenty of jungle around the encampment. You're sure there are traps to keep people from getting too close. You might be able to find out something about the Pirate King's defenses just by wandering around. You're not disappointed. You are, however, hanging upside down in a tree. So now you have some data about the Pirate King's booby traps firsthand. You go through a number of attempts to free yourself from the rope, but it's at such an odd angle. If you could fold yourself exactly in half, you're sure you'd be able to saw through the rope. By Davy Jones, where did the Pirate King find line this thick and sturdy? But you're no rope spider like you were when you spent your days in Blackguard's crow's nest. There are an inordinate amount of sit-ups involved, if it can be called sitting when you're hanging upside down, and you've lost count of the number of times your cutlass has made contact with the rope. Gauging by the sun position through the thick foliage, it's about 2 hours later before you finally manage to slice the rope. You drop out of the tree and onto your head. Whether it's the fall or some supernatural gift of the cursed inhabitants of the jungle, as soon as you're on the ground, the bizarre knot around your ankle, one you've never seen before, blasted, falls open as though it had never been there at all. You may kick the rope, just a little. No one ever needs to hear about this. That's a little embarrassing, but what am I going to do about it? 2 hours later. Unfortunately, it's getting late. When the sun sets on San Alfonso, it sets quickly, and you'll never be able to find your way back to town in the dark. You've gotten some information, and it'll have to be enough. What will you do with the information you've discovered? Keep it to myself, report them to Anne, give Anne the full report, and sell the information to Jacqueline, or tell Caesar and Tenema so we can prepare for my own bid for Pirate King. Right now, I'm working for Anne. I'm going to be honorable. I'm giving it to Anne. Anne is impressed that you made it to the Inlet, and delighted that you can point to it with such accuracy on the map. You've improved her cartography with a recreation of the size and scale of the inlet, as well as the buildings and docks there. She's interested in the defenses around the inlet, and you can see her calculating the best way to make another approach on the inlet when the time comes. But the best fit of information is the note and ledger you found, particularly the listed names. I'm bad at talking today, but don't worry about it. I knew they hadn't retired, she crows. I'm so close to becoming the next Pirate King, I can taste it. She tucks the newly revised map into her jacket. I'm impressed with your work, Zachariah Zoru. I'll make sure everyone knows it. She winks. Consider my good word a bonus on your payment. Anne's payment for the information is generous, a full 300 doubloons. Coupled with the rise in your reputation and the sudden influx of people buying you drinks at the Lobo Negro, it's a payment that's going to last a while. As far as Anne Reed is concerned, that's the last of your involvement with discovering the identity of the Pirate King. Perhaps it is, but perhaps there's more yet to learn. You endure 2 more weeks of waiting after your investigation before your ship is ready to return to sea. Once you're back on the water, you leave the politics and intrigue behind you. Ooh, it's about time! How much money do I have, I wonder? 2,444 doubloons. Lover, Tinema Campions, yes! I love that. Get it? I love that. Tinema Campion is at 85. There's only 1 level below Caesar Lord! Boom. So happy with this, man. This is going great. The only thing I wish is that I were my own captain and not Anne Reed's, but what am I gonna do about it? Hurricane season passes, then the dry season, and back into the rainy season, with no further news about the Pirate King. Anne has sent you on a few missions since your hunt for the Pirate King's identity, and they've always been fairly lucrative for both of you. You may not like taking work from another captain, but you've made a small profit by it. The Crown has been even more present than normal in the Lucayan, and their efforts to extinguish piracy have made work harder for everyone over the last year, even for you. You have a fleet of 4 ships, and your wealth is steadily growing! Your captains squabble on occasion, but you're building a solid fleet, and you regularly hit the dominant trade routes to both the north and the south. The riches you're bringing in are far greater than your expenses. The crews in your ships are capable, if not finely honed. They follow your orders, and you've had no attempts at mutiny in the past year. Something not all captains can claim, as the Crown has become more dangerous. You've amassed 2,944 doubloons! Do you want to spend any of that? You know what? I gotta give my crew a bonus, bro. Actually, I should buy another ship. That would give me even 5 ships in my fleet. Buy another ship. Ooh, that's great. A few ships have come up on the auction block since you became a captain, and you've kept a weather eye on them. A few affordable ones have come up for sale. The best you've had the chances for is a galleon called the Amber Dragon, whose captain, Lena Reyes, is in so much debt that she has to sell her ship to another captain's fleet. Luckily, she plans to stay on with it, meaning the buyer gets both the ship and her captain in the deal. Another potential purchase is a half-wrecked ketch called Ebony, which barely survived a storm. One of her masts is completely lost, but she's fixable. I buy the Ebony for 75 doubloons, that is really cheap, and the Amber Dragon is only 125 doubloons. Dude, I could buy both for 200! How much do I have? I've got 2,944, I'm buying both. My god, man! Caesar hires one of your crew, Alfonso Oscuro, who has experience as a ship's carpenter, to sail the Ebony once she's seaworthy again. Caesar, with Tenema's guidance, also hires a fresh-faced Cambion just out of La Universidad to work with Oscuro to save on the repairs. The Cambion, who only goes by Tiger, is so utterly eager to please that he tails after Oscuro like a chick after a mother hen. Wow! You think it's likely to be a profitable investment? Yes, I do! Lena Reyes is grateful to be afloat, and even more grateful over the influx of cash to make necessary repairs to the Amber Dragon. You find, however, that it's hard to convince Lynn to target Crown ships. She's a bit of a Crown sympathizer, and you think that she one day hopes to retire as a respectable citizen in a Crown colony. But as flaws go, it's not a horrible one. Not really. I mean, I don't like the Crown, but I don't hate the Crown. You assign her to a more mundane and marginally legal assignment, and the money keeps flowing into your pockets. Your successes since you began your career have given you enough of a reputation that you're occasionally bought drinks in pubs throughout the Lucayan. You're respected and acknowledged, but you don't have anywhere near the pull of a pirate like Anne Reed. On the upside, you're not really successful enough with the Crown troubles. You've been able to quietly grow your wealth and fleet without constant scrutiny from the Crown Navy. Awesome, dude! Like, hang on, I want to see this. My crew is 70%, the Crown is 16%. They don't like me that much, but you know, whatever. Anne Reed likes me a lot. I'm happy about that. What's my fame? 60% fame. Holy crud, I got a high fame, dude. I'm pretty famous, Dad. Awesome. This is going so well. I'm honestly surprised. On a blustery night at the beginning of hurricane season, a year after your fateful encounter with the ghost ship, you're having a quiet drink in a pub in Puerto Balena, unloading some stolen goods right under the governor's nose. Your flagship is moored well away from the port and out of sight. Caesar is arranging for food and supplies to be loaded into the unmarked yawl the two of you sailed into port while you handle the business transaction. It's risky, but the payout on this deal will be good if you manage it without getting caught. Ooh. Very interesting. While you wait for your contract, you hear the usual stories of ghosts and merpeople and daring do from tables around you. When you hear someone mention the hidden treasure Ishmael the Lost, something you hadn't thought about since your days on Blackguard's ship. You listen more closely. "Oh, he found it all right," says the speaker. "Nearly lost his ships, too." "Why?" asked one of the listeners. "Was it cursed?" "No, protected," the speaker explains sagely. "Captain Blackguard woke the Luska." Whew, so the old devil found it after all. Doesn't sound like it went well for him. "The Luska?" one of the listeners gasps out. "No such thing," another protests. "It's true," the speaker says. "Blackguard saw it with his own eye. Body of a giant octopus eye, but rows of teeth like a shark's." The crew watched as the first mate got shredded in its dreaded maw, and now that it's awake, there'll be no stopping it. "Nor nothing guarding the treasure," jokes one of the listeners, and the sailors at the table raise their glasses to Blackguard and his poor luck. I raise a glass as well. I chuckle at the poor fool who woke the monster. I ask the speaker about the damage the monster's done. I do nothing. Keeping a low profile. I am keeping a low profile. Gotta not get caught, you know? Yeah, that's a smart play, bro. But then you see Joaquin de Avelas walk into the tavern, and you have a feeling your luck has already run out. If he's here, and you know he's a crown agent, then there's no hope of making your deal without being recognized. And if you're recognized here in Puerto Balena, and Joaquin can alert the officials without blowing his own cover, he'll be heading for the noose. I greet him. He won't risk his cover to turn me in. I try to leave surreptitiously before I spot it. I'm not losing this deal. I'll stay put. I'm gonna make a break for it. I don't know if I trust Joaquin de Avelas. He's a bit of a weirdo, if you ask me. A crown spy. And this is a very illegal thing to be doing. It's a lucrative deal, though. Oh, I gotta do something. Ugh. Oh, man. It's so hard to decide. I don't know if I trust him, but... he is a crown spy. I'm definitely not greeting him. Should I stay put or leave? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, no, I can't do eeny, meeny, miny, mo again. I already did that once. I gotta make the decision myself. Ooh, Zoru, what do I do? Zorua, not Zoru. Zorua, what do I do? Really? You think so? Seriously, Zorua? I don't know if I trust you. Wait, what? What was that? Really? Oh my god. Alright, fine. I'm not losing this deal. I'll stay put. You've got too many doubloons riding on this deal to let yourself be roused by a crown spy. But Joaquin takes in the room and smiles as he sees you sitting there. Despite your efforts to remain unnoticed as you came into Puerto Balena, Joaquin knew to look for you here. Joaquin slides into the chair across from you. A drink is delivered almost as soon as he's seated, though you didn't see him order. "Captain Zoru the Honorable," he says cheerfully. "I apologize for interrupting your business here in Puerto Balena." "You are never an interruption, Joaquin. I'm sure I'll be able to conclude my business another time. Let's not make a habit of it." "You are never an interruption, Joaquin. I'm gonna be nice to him. Still, there are parties who would like to compensate you for your trouble." He tosses a small bag across the table to you, and it slides open just enough for you to get a glimpse of what is inside. Something glitters in the taverner's candlelight, like diamonds. I refuse the payment. I don't touch the payment, but I hear him out. I'm a pirate. I take the money. I don't touch the payment, but I hear him out. He leaves the pouch sitting conspicuously between the two of you. "Tell me. You've likely heard something that's true," he says. "Captain Blackguard went searching for the treasure of Ishmael the Lost in the waters off of Playa Roja." "Shipwreck Shoal," you ask, using the unofficial name for that shallow stretch of water. Joaquin nods. "And you know there's a trench just north of the shoal?" "The trench has a nickname as well. Davy Jones' Coffin." "I do." "That's where the monster resided until recently," Joaquin explains. "Nearest we can determine is that Ishmael the Lost tied a curse from his treasure to the, coffin, making the Luska its godling. Risky move, you say? He'd never have been able to get it back. It's clear he didn't. What my contacts have been able to determine is this. Blackguard must have gotten some of the treasure on board before being attacked, and the Luska is still trying to hunt it down, and terrorizing ships along the route from Playa Roja to San Alfonso, you guess," and Joaquin nods. "The crown has a bounty on the beast," he offers, though that much was obvious. I take the pouch after all. I thank him for the invitation. I ask him to let his contact know I've gotten the assignment. I'm not interested in the Luska. I thank him for the information. I'm doing this for myself, not the crown. You push the pouch back at him to make it clear you're not interested in his money. He hides it in his coat with a grin. I'm sure the job is now in good hands, Joaquin says. The next morning, the sky is clear, the air is close, and you're happy you're back aboard a ship with sails as massive as the Sea Queen's. With winds this calm aboard the yawl, you'd be paddling to make any headway. At least you have a top gallant that you can catch some of the breeze aloft, and though you're not at the speed you'd prefer, you're moving, and you're free of all the trappings of port life. That afternoon, you're hailed by a familiar ship, the Primavera, captained by the Carlito the Fierce, who flags you over for a conversation. Greetings, Captain Jordi the Honorable, Fierce calls through a loud hailer. Any news from the Lusca from Puerto Balena? I share the gossip I heard in the taberna. I find out what he knows first. I attack him to collect another pirate bounty from the crown. Not gonna do that. I'm honorable. He's hailing me, dude. I tell him what I heard from Joaquin. I share the gossip I heard in the taberna. Let's do that. You repeat only what everyone else has been saying. Some of it might well be new to Fierce if he's been in other ports. Blasted thing's torn 4 ships since Blackguard woke it up. He calls sightings put it headed towards San Alfonso. Has anyone seen Blackguard? You call back. Through your spyglass, you see Fierce shake his head. Still aboard ship, I'd wager. Few of his crew who washed overboard in the first attack made it to Playa Roja. Blackguard's got a fast ship. He may be trying to outrun the creature, if it's following him. Meantime, El Fabio has a bounty on it, but you'd have to be a fool to face a creature like that. After the Primavera sails off, bearing well away from San Alfonso, Caesar stands next to you, waiting for you to set course. Set course for San Alfonso. We'll meet the creature near port. Set course to intercept the Lusca. Set course to intercept Blackguard. Set course away from San Alfonso. I have no interest in facing the Lusca. I'm gonna face the Lusca head on, dude. Intercept it. You know it's a rough trajectory, and you can gauge how fast it's traveling. All you have to do is make an educated guess, and you'll hit the Lusca before it gets to San Alfonso. As you travel, you only have time to do a few things to get ready. How do you prepare to face the Lusca? I make contact with the merfolk, ask Granny O'Malley for advice, consult with Tinema on the best strategy, consult with Caesar on the best strategy, or nothing! We're as ready as we're gonna be. Let's consult with Tinema. That evening, on Caesar's watch, you and Tinema sit in your cabin and discuss the best options. Can be as tricky to work on animals, she says, though it can be done. You've done it, you ask. She looks incredibly embarrassed, for a moment losing the confidence she's gained since she joined your crew. Slowly she nods. Just before I met you, she explains, there was a challenge offered to the La Universidad to see whether the students of Cambiar could direct the fish in the shallows off of Playa del Sol. You control the fish, you ask? She looks a little sheepish. I control the school, she's... Wait! Oh my god! She is way better than I first thought! Although I first thought she was the best cambiant I've ever seen, so she's better than the best cambiant I've ever seen. She watches your expression to see how you're taking the admission of what created her reputation. Thousands of fish. I made them dance and then had them circle so fast they created a spout under the water. The instructors said they'd never seen anything like it. Wow. She pauses and looks down at the deck. Most of the fish survived it. Wow. Well, you've known for a long time that Tinema is particularly strong at Cambiar, and you've wondered why more captains weren't eager to take her on when you first hired her. You suppose that such a power might spook some captains. You'd wonder if she could apply her control to humans as well as fish, but their fear turned out to be your good luck. So you think you can control it, you ask, and she glances you with thanks for not making an issue of her secret. I doubt it, but I could confuse it some. She looks at you in consideration. Or you could try to confuse it, and I could work obstacles for it from the water and sand. Or the two of us together could try to disable it. I don't think we can defeat it with Cambiar alone, but it's certainly a weapon we can use. As you travel, you only have time to do a few things. Okay, let's make contact with the merfolk. Huge sea monsters seem like the thing the merfolk would be useful against. You're not entirely sure how to go about reaching the mermaid you encountered on San Alfonso, but between your knowledge and Granny O'Malley's advice and Tinema's skill, you find a way to send summons through the water, and then you wait. And wait. But then there are ripples in the water, and though the mermaid doesn't appear, you can tell that she's listening through the waves. That's a handy bit of Cambiar, Tinema says thoughtfully. What message do you want to send? I ask for the Lusca's weakness. I want to know if there's any way to stop the Lusca without fighting it. I request the help of the merfolk. I want to know if there's any way to stop the Lusca. You and Tinema work the Cambiar to send your message and wait again. After a few hours, a wave crashes over your ship, despite the calm seas, and as the spray touches you, you feel an answer. The Lusca is bound by a curse. As long as Blackguard has some of Ishmael the Lost's treasure aboard his ship, the Lusca will continue to hunt. It might also continue on a rampage after that. It's an unthinking creature with a nasty temper. You sense that the next bit of information about the creature is included in case returning the treasure doesn't work. Like an octopus, the Lusca moves on its arms, and it contains most of its organ in a sac behind its eyes. Ooh, its eyes are its weak point. In order to attack ships while it's stationary, it has to leave 2 arms on the bottom, making its attacks in shallow water more dangerous. It can't pull a ship under unless it can touch the bottom, though it can squeeze the daylights out of it. Unlike an octopus, its arms open to reveal the pointed muzzle of a shark, with hundreds of rows of teeth within. Like both a shark and an octopus, the Lusca's bright brain is right behind its eye. That vulnerable point is probably your best bet, although even with knowledge of this weakness, you know this will be a difficult task. As you travel, you only have time to do a few things. Let's consult with Caesar on the best strategy. You and Caesar survey the deck while he's at the helm, discussing your best strategies. You assume the Luska will be huge, so you don't really know how big. It could pull a ship under. As big as it is, I think we're best off ignoring case shot, Caesar advises. And as much as I don't like the risk of fire, using heated shot might deal more damage to the creature so we can kill it faster. My voice is bad. We have to plan for its arms to come on deck, you say. Caesar nods. I think we keep powder chests on deck set to explode with a pistol shot, he says. An explosion under the arm might deter it from reaching up again. It might, you say, though neither of you feels entirely confident. You come up with the best arrangement of cannons, easy access to the type of ammunition the crew will need, and a few clever uses for change shot if the Luska gets grabby at the right angle. We'll kill the creature, Caesar assures you. We will, you say. Neither of you acknowledges the other's nerves. Probably for the best. 4 days out of Puerto Balena, 4 humid, still days, with air so close you could cut it with your cutlass if Tenenma weren't freshening the winds. There's a break in the heat. The cool, natural breeze is at first a relief. Barometer keeps dropping, Caesar says. Wrong voice. Ooh! Not fun. Tenenma closes her eyes and breathes deeply. You can feel the tingle of her power stretching out beyond you. There's a storm being brought to our west. Caesar looks to the western horizon. Any chance we can outrun it if we change our bearings? Tenenma looks at you, shaking her head. We can maybe What? I'm using Caesar's voice on the girl. Not good. We could maybe scat some of the west of it, but it's gonna hit us regardless. We're too close. Change course to avoid the worst of the storm. Use Cambiar to protect the ship through the storm. Keep our heading, storm be damned, or make for shore. Change course to avoid the worst of the storm. Better skirt it than sail into its center, you say. You take the helm and change your bearings for what you hope will be the edge of the storm. Lookouts, rig your lifelines, you order. Caesar relays the order. The lookouts of the current watch jump to quickly following the order and making their way aloft. Secure the cannons! Man, I am bad at reading today. But whatever! Ha ha! Your commands continue. Caesar firing them off as you man the helm. Tenenma keeps an eye on the horizon, and none of you are surprised when the veil of clouds blot out the horizon to your west. Close the gun ports, you call out, and Caesar bellows it in an echo. Batten the hatches! The sky grows overcast, and the sea that was as calm as glass this morning is broken by small white caps. The barometer continues to fall. Douse the fire in the galley, you order. You sail into the next watch, and as the sailors of the second watch come up to replace their peers, the sailors who should be off duty now go instead to man the bilge pumps. Rig your lifelines, you command the sailors still on deck. The white caps chop the sea into foam, and the rain begins. Should we strike the sails? Caesar asks quietly. Strike our sails and wait it out. Reef the sails for now. We can get a little farther before we strike them completely. Keep our sails just a bit longer. Strike our sails and wait it out. We can get a little farther. You're not foolish. You know you can't keep going at full speed during weather like this, but you think you can get just a bit more out of these winds before you strike sails completely. The weather builds, the wind's flying across your deck, and if you hadn't already reefed the sails, they'd be full to bursting. As it gets more dangerous to be aloft, you decide it's time to ride out the storm. You head into the wind and strike the sails as the rain turns into a driving squall. Wind and waves toss you around like a toy boat in a toddler's tub. In the dark and the rain, you stay lashed to the helm, your fingers clenched to the steering wheel, wet all the way to your bones. Waves sweep over the deck and your crew are dragged about. But no one washes overboard. None of the guns come loose. Lightning cracks around the ship, but none of it strikes the mast. One of the sailors, still aloft, calls down through the wind that there are rocks ahead. You change your bearings, and the ship groans. You're moving at the mercy of the storm, but your adjustments are enough to make the difference. Or luck just really likes you. You know, either way. Hours pass. The driving rain lightens for a moment before another squall follows on its heels. But with each break in the weather, the rain eases, the winds dampen, and the barometer begins to rise. Longer still, the sky brightens. You hear gulls crying over the crash of waves and the patter of rain, and you finally unclench your hands. Whew, you've made it. And you don't know who starts it. Wait, you don't know who starts it. You may have even begun it yourself, but soon the crew is shouting in jubilation. They've survived. You've survived. Your ship has survived. Nice! I think that's a good place to end this episode. We're about to fight the Luska, the giant octopus kraken monster. But we're going to be doing really well. I'm enjoying this series a lot. We're doing really well for ourselves. We got freaking 6 ships. We got 2,744 doubloons. We got a lover. We got a bunch of fame. We got a bunch of pistols and swords, a bunch of caviar, a bunch of skullduggery, a bunch of parlay, a bunch of sailing. We got honorable goodwill pirate. And we got high relationships with just about everybody. I'm having a lot of fun though. I'm definitely going to record more of this. Tell me if you want to see more, because if you do, I'll get it to you faster, and I would love to get this to you faster. But, you know, I don't have anything else to say. So, till next time we meet,
Farewell. Yeah.
I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm saying. Bye.